It's the 3rd of May and local council elections are taking place across the country. Ealing, of course, is no different. We're here in Ealing Broadway outside of Percival House to take a glimpse of what's going on in terms of the vote count and hopefully to speak to some of the candidates. Let's go check it out. The evening looked to be an exciting one. There was an air of both anticipation and discomfort, where some candidates were hoping to win their first election and others were clearly expecting a lot of doom and gloom. So, John Ross, you're running. What ward are you running for tonight?
North Mandeville.
And
North Mandeville.
And how are you feeling this evening? How has the evening been? Has it been a stressful one? Are you feeling confident?
Certainly not confident. I'm quite content and happy. I wasn't expecting an awful lot, and doing the counting, it's quite fun actually to see your name with a cross on it as they go past. But unfortunately, I would have to have at least 10 times as many to be competitive. But it's a very heavy Labour ward, so there's not really much opportunity. If it would have happened, my wife would have divorced me anyway.
That's not the first time I've heard that tonight, I have to say. Craig O'Donnell, how are you finding the evening, firstly?
Pretty nerve-wracking, but to be honest, I'm enjoying it. I was here 4 years ago and didn't get in, but I think I've got a better chance this time. So it's cautiously optimistic, I can say that.
On one hand, the Lib Dems you could say, they only do have 4 councillors at the moment.
Yes.
However, they are, of the 3 parties who actually have councillors in the borough, they are the only party that's pro-EU, essentially. Do you feel that could benefit them in these elections?
Yes, especially in areas like Ealing Common, which did about 70% Remain. So that's quite good. But potentially at the end of the night, we could become the main opposition in Ealing because of other seats going different ways. So
the Lib Dems managed to hold on to the 4 seats they had beforehand, though it's up in the air as to whether this amounts to any sort of victory on their part. On one hand, the borough has clearly voiced its support for remaining under the control of Labour going forward. Despite this then, it appears as though they were able to successfully fend off this tide of red from taking the few seats that they already had. Alternately, however, the Lib Dems may have been hoping to make gains in wards such as Cleveland. The party has certainly made its pro-EU stance abundantly clear, in turn making them the only debatably mainstream political party involved to do so. They have also made use of a relatively active campaign on the campaign trail, touching upon a number of subjects that have evidently been very important to both residents and business owners alike. These, for example, include the issue of the closure of both Ealing and Southall police stations, respectively. I'm proudly joined by the MP for Ealing Central and Acton, Rupa Huck. Now, the borough of Ealing is by and large a Labour stronghold. We have 53 councillors who are Labour, to the Tories 12 and to the Lib Dems 4. And as it currently stands at the moment, there are some relatively safe seats here. For example, Lady Margaret, Dormers Wells and Southall Green. These are all Labour wards as it stands. However, at the same time, you've got Ealing Broadway, Common and Southfield that are potentially up for grabs. These are very close wards. Are you expecting any gains in any of these? What are you expecting?
Well, look, first of all, I wouldn't make any assumptions about Ealing as a Labour stronghold, because until 2010, it was actually a Conservative borough.
That's
and
true.
Certainly when I was growing up, it was a very seesaw borough. You know, one election it was red, then it went blue. But I do think you're right that the whole of London seems to be turning in a Labour direction. Mm-hmm. We saw the massive victory for Sadiq Khan in 2016. And last year, Labour won seats like Kensington, which we'd never won before, Battersea. So, you know, many of the posher bits of London too. So that means that we are hopeful in Ealing Labour that, yeah, we could pick up seats tonight. But I mean, what I would say is that to the residents of the borough, 360,000 of them, that they're very lucky to have had a council that's been in good hands since 2010, and that it's an award-winning council now. It's very sensible, it's known for its stewardship of financial decisions, whereas if you look at Conservative councils, somewhere like Northamptonshire has gone bust. The whole council, and that's a Conservative-run administration. And I think there are other ones. Surrey has had difficulties with its social care, again, a Conservative-run one. You know, there is a pattern here. So, I mean, either you have a Conservative council where they can't manage the finances, or, you know, sensible Labour-run councils are standing up for you in a time of austerity. We've seen massive government cuts, so
course.
everyone is trying to do more and more with less and less. 64% less budget that Ealing Council has compared to 2010 when the Conservatives took over central government.
But speaking of the cuts, obviously it's inevitably going to be hard to fiscally manage what's going on. You know, we're getting less and less money that's being offered to us by the government to actually deal with the things that we actually need to address in this borough. But going forward, what are, as far as you're concerned, and as far as Labour councillors are concerned, what are the main objectives, you think, if Labour is to once again lead the council?
We've been campaigning very hard in the Labour Party locally on hospital closures. So we have seen the A&E departments close at Central Middlesex and also at Hammersmith. And it is now threatened to be happening at Ealing and at Charing Cross. So we're fighting hard on that, on air pollution and the environment. And we want more recycling. We want excellent school places for all. We are also campaigning hard on sort of best value for services, and especially looking at elderly care, that we've got a very clever Conservative government that sort of manages to displace all the burden of its cuts onto local government. So then people blame their Labour council, and it's Labour councils that have had the axe to their services and budgets more than anyone else.
The night was a long one for those involved, as we started to find out at around 3 a.m. However, it was at some point around this time that the results began to flood through. First up was Greenford Broadway, the ward of councillor leader Julian Bell. Julian clearly carried with him a subdued confidence throughout the evening, one which became fully justified when his ward's results came through. Julian had been duly elected once more to represent his ward alongside both other Labour candidates. These results emphatically stated that the residents of Greenford Broadway were, by and large, happy to remain with the status quo.
We should return free Labour councillors again today, and that's the expectation. We've had free for the last 2 terms.
It seemed as though Labour councillors, with their already very strong 53 councillor-strong contingent, were clearly confident they'd be making further gains. After all, many of the borough's safe wards were already under Labour's tight control, including Dormers Wells and Julian Bell's own Greenford Broadway. This is contrasted greatly with many of the more hotly contested wards, such as Cleveland, Northfields and Ealing Broadway, being areas the Conservatives were clearly quite nervous of making losses in. I'm joined by Surendra Dugana, who is a Conservative candidate running for Hobbain. Firstly, Surendra, how are you feeling this evening? Confident?
Fantastic.
Nervous?
Confidence. Doesn't matter what the result will be, but I'm confident.
Do you have any predictions whatsoever?
Labour might win, but still I'm supporting whatever good things they are going to do. Still I'm going to carry on what I'm going to do for the community.
Well, your sense of optimism is absolutely contagious and commendable. Speaking about some of the specific wards though, perhaps Labour may win, but do you feel that the Tories could potentially snag a few wards from Labour or the Lib Dems?
They might, definitely. Last time we had won 12 seats. They might win definitely around similar number of seats, might be.
As expected, what unfolded was a Labour council going from strength to strength. Labour managed to snag 4 seats away from the Conservatives, pushing their majority from 53 seats to 57. The Conservatives were able to hang on to some of their seats, they will surely feel the sting in dropping to 8 seats. It's important to consider that as recently as 2010, the Conservatives were in fact in control of the borough at a council level. Moreover, the Ealing Central and Acton constituency at least also had a Conservative MP in Angie Bray at the time. Certainly then, it seems as though Ealing Conservatives will have to go back to the drawing board to work out where this all went wrong for them, perhaps it was on the campaign trail itself, and then to see what they can do going forward to make amends.
And I do hereby declare that the said Julian Graham Bell, Timothy...
As the leader of Ealing Council, Julian Bell has been voted to lead the council for a 3rd term. This absolute vote of confidence should have instilled him with a renewed sense of drive, knowing that such a large portion of his constituents are fully behind him. However, Going forward, he has a number of issues to address, including the aforesaid police station closures and problems related to the borough's health service. Many of these issues are of course related to budget cuts that have been implemented by the government, and so we watch with hopeful anticipation that the decisions made in light of this are truly what's best for those who live and work in the borough. We at Exposure Box TV offer our congratulations to Julian Bell and wish him well going forward. To see our interview with Julian Bell, please click on the link below.